Welcome to the Heartbreak Chronicles, where every story is a raw reflection of life. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned, give us a like to show your support, and share this episode with your friends. Don't forget to leave a comment and let us know what you think. Now, let's dive into today's story. My name is Patrick and I am a construction engineer. The nature of my work is such that I am often required to travel to the field to participate in projects, sometimes for weeks at a time. My wife Olivia is a college professor. She has a relatively stable job and spends most of her time in town. We live in an upscale condo building in the center of town, co-raising a couple of children, daughter Zoe, who is 12 years old. Son Luke just turned 10. We've been happily married, at least I think so. It wasn't until the other day that I stumbled upon some clues that makes me start to wonder if Olivia might be with her former boss. William, the current owner of the company, is in an illicit relationship. It was a normal weekend and I had just returned from a business trip out of town. Olivia said she had to go to school to take care of some paperwork and left me to watch the kids. Just as she was hurrying out the door, I noticed that she had left her cell phone on the coffee table. I don't usually go through her personal stuff, but somehow that day, an inexplicable urge drove me to pick up my cell phone. Just then, the phone lit up, showing a new message. The sender's name was W, and I immediately thought of William. The text messages were ambiguous and full of suggestive language. My heart sank. I tried to tell myself that it was probably just a work exchange but deep down, I know it's not that simple. I quickly skimmed through the previous conversation and realized there was a lot more similar information. Each one was like a sharp knife, cutting into my heart bit by bit. Just then I heard the sound of a key being inserted into the door lock. I hurriedly put my phone back down and pretended to be watching TV. Olivia hurries in with a hint of panic on her face. "Oh my God, I left my cell phone at home," she said. Fast forward to the coffee table. She was visibly relieved when she saw her cell phone. She smiled at me and then hurried off again. From that day on, I began to watch Olivia's every move. I've noticed that she's been getting text messages late at night and sometimes sneaky phone calls. The voice was so soft it was almost inaudible. Whenever I ask, she always says it's a work thing. But I noticed that every time William's name was mentioned, her eyes would all twinkle and the corners of her mouth would rise involuntarily. These details are like little knives that keep poking and prodding at my heart. I love Olivia dearly and I love our children dearly. I didn't want to believe it, couldn't believe it, that our marriage was in such a rift. But the facts are in front of me, and I can't fool myself anymore. After much struggle, I decided to get a private investigator to find out the truth. I contacted a detective by the name of Marcus who is quite experienced in this field. When I explained the situation to him, his expression was serious and sympathetic. "Mr. Patrick, I understand how you feel," Marcus said, "but I must remind you that once you start an investigation, there is no turning back. Are you really ready to face the possible consequences?" I took a deep breath and nodded. I have to know the truth, no matter what the outcome. Marcus began his work. For the next month, it was like a year for me. Every night, as Olivia sleeps peacefully beside me, I'm all about imagining the possibilities and sometimes even hoping it's all just a bad dream. Finally, Marcus brought in the findings. My hands shook as he placed the thick folder in front of me. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Patrick." Marcus's voice was full of sympathy. But there's more going on than we thought." I flipped through the files and saw tons of photos, call logs, and screenshots of text messages. The images of love and affection, the intimate conversations. None of it speaks a harsh truth. Olivia and William have been in a relationship that has lasted exactly 12 years. 12 years, that number hit me like a hammer, hard. We've only been married for 15 years, which means Olivia cheated on me not long after we were married. I felt a wave of vertigo and my stomach turned. But even more shocking to me, Marcus's investigation also found that Olivia's sister, Sophia, who is also a psychologist, is also involved. Not only was she in the know, but she provided cover for Olivia and William's rendezvous on several occasions. I can't describe how I felt at the time. Anger, sadness, betrayal, despair, all intertwined with the emotions of. It almost overwhelmed me. I used to trust Olivia so much, loved Sophia so much. But now, I feel like a fool, kept in the dark for 12 whole years. In that moment, I made my decision. I'm going to end this sham of a marriage. I'm going to do it for myself. Justice for my children. I contacted a divorce attorney named Amanda. She is an expert in this field and is particularly skilled in handling divorce cases resulting from extramarital affairs. Patrick, I'm sorry this happened to you, Amanda said, but I promise you that I will do everything in my power to make sure that you get what you deserve in this divorce. We'll fight for custody of the children and as much property as we can get. With that, I began the difficult task of preparing for my divorce. Every step was like walking on the tip of a knife, and I had to be careful not to spook anyone. I knew there was an uphill battle ahead of me, but I had no choice. I have to be strong for my dignity and for my children. Knowing the truth, I felt like I was living a huge lie. Waking up every morning, looking at Olivia sleeping beside me. I have to force myself not to take the truth out of my mouth. I began to be cold to her, consciously or unconsciously, sidestepping between words, suggesting that you already know something. I've noticed Olivia becoming more and more restless. She started asking me frequently if everything was okay and if I was too stressed at work. Each time I casually coped, looking at the look of confusion and concern on her face. In the back of his mind, he was sneering. One night, while we were sitting at the table eating dinner, I brought up William on purpose. I hear William's been pretty active at the office lately, I said absently, and, do you see each other often? Olivia's hand suddenly shook and the fork fell onto the plate with a crisp clatter. She glanced up at me quickly, then lowered her head, pretending to straighten her napkin. Oh yeah? I'm not really sure. You know, I don't work in that department anymore, she replied softly, a hint of a tremor in her voice. I stared into her eyes and said coldly, really? I thought you guys were in regular contact. Olivia's face instantly turned pale, and she opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Our eyes met in the air, and in that moment, I saw the fear and panic in her eyes. I knew that she had realized that I might know something. From that day on, Olivia became more cautious. She started texting me frequently, asking when I would be home and if I would be working late. Every time I come home, she's got a nice dinner ready. It was as if she was atoning for her sins in this way. But it all seemed so hypocritical to me. I started planning my next move. I contacted a moving company to pack all of Olivia's belongings, delivered directly to William's luxury villa on the outskirts of the town. The night before we moved, I sat in my den and looked through our wedding photos. We looked so happy and in love in the photo. I can't help but wonder when the hell it started. Our marriage has turned into a farce? I grabbed my scissors and cut out Olivia from the photo. Then I lit a candle and watched her image slowly turn to ashes in the flame. I've got these ashes in a little paper bag. Find our wedding rings and the torn-up marriage license again. I put these in an envelope with the divorce papers, ready for the movers to give it to Olivia along with it. The next morning, Olivia leaves for work as usual. When she left, the movers came. I stood by and watched as they packed boxes of Olivia's clothes, jewelry, books, etc., piece by piece. Each item evokes memories for me, but now those memories are bitter and ironic. When everything was loaded, I handed that special envelope to the head of the moving company. Make sure you hand this envelope to Olivia in person, I said. Let's just say it's a special gift from me to her. That afternoon, I got a call from Olivia. On the other end of the line, her voice was so shaky she could barely speak. Patrick, what's going on here? Why? Why is all my stuff at William's house? That envelope? Those ashes? You know all about it? I took a deep breath and tried to keep my voice calm. Yes, Olivia, I know all about it. 12 years, 12 whole years. Do you think I can go on living like this? There was a long silence on the other end of the line, and then I heard Olivia's suppressed sobs. Patrick, I can explain. Please give me a chance. Explain? I sneered. Olivia, what else do you have to explain? It's all over. You'll be receiving divorce papers from my attorney shortly. I hope you and William are happy. After that, I hung up and turned off my cell phone. I know Olivia will definitely keep calling, but I'm done listening to any more of her explanations or defenses. For the next few days, I locked myself in my house and refused to see anyone. I told the company I needed some time for personal matters, then start working on all the things that go into a divorce. However, life didn't stop with my pain. Soon Zoe's birthday will be here. Despite the mess in my heart, I decided to throw her a birthday party. I know that no matter what happens, the children are innocent of any wrongdoing. I can't let my problems with Olivia get in the way. For my birthday, I decorated the backyard and ordered Zoe's favorite cake. The children's friends arrived one by one, and the sound of laughter soon filled the yard. Just as the party was getting underway, I saw an unexpected guest, Sophia. The moment I saw her, I felt a surge of anger come over me. I resisted the urge to rush up and question her and politely asked her to step aside. Sophia, I tried to control my tone. I'm surprised you have the nerve to show up here. The smile on Sophia's face froze instantly. She looked at me warily and whispered, Patrick, what do you mean by that? I looked at her coldly, word for word. I know everything, Sophia. You and Olivia and William. You guys have been playing me all these years. Sophia's face instantly turned pale and she opened her mouth, but no words came out. I continued. I would have thought you were part of our family, someone I can trust. But now it seems that you are nothing more than an accomplice. Patrick, I can explain. Sophia stammered. No need to explain, I interrupt her. I've taken legal action, not just against Olivia, but against you and William. You'll be hearing from my attorney shortly. Now, please leave. I don't want to see you at Zoe's birthday. A flash of panic flashed in Sophia's eyes, and she opened her mouth and it seemed like he was going to say something else, but in the end he just nodded and left in a panic. I felt a wave of exhaustion as I watched Sophia's hastily departing back. I knew that this was just the beginning. I would have to face more questioning, explaining, and arguing next. But I had made up my mind that no matter what, I was going to get justice for myself and my children. That night, after all the guests had left, I sat on the swing set in the backyard and looked at the ribbons and balloons all over the place. Zoe came bounding over to me and burrowed into my arms. Daddy, this is my best birthday party ever, she said, excitedly. Just why didn't Mom come? I gently stroked her hair and tried to squeeze out a smile. Mom had some things to take care of, but she's got a present for you. I'll give it to you when she gets back. Zoe nodded and asked again, Daddy, did you and Mommy have a fight? I froze for a moment, not knowing how to respond. Finally, I just gently said, there are some issues that need to be worked out between the adults. But no matter what happens, Mommy and I will always love you and Luke, okay? Zoe nodded plausibly, then hugged me tightly. In that moment, I felt a pang of heartache. I knew that for the rest of the day, not only do I have to deal with my own pain, but I have to help my kids through this difficult time. But I also knew that I had to be strong, no matter how difficult it was. Because right now, I'm not just doing it for myself, I'm doing it for Zoe and Luke. I want them to know that even in the toughest of times, we can also be brave and start over. In the days following Zoe's birthday party, my life has fallen into a strange calm. Olivia didn't try to contact me again, and I guess she was probably digesting the sudden change of heart. I spent most of my time at work trying to numb my feelings with busyness. However, this calm was soon shattered. One afternoon, I was working on some papers in my office. Out of the blue, I got a call from Amanda. Patrick, I have some news for you, she said, her voice sounding a little nervous, and Olivia and William have just been served with divorce papers and a restraining order from us. I took a deep breath. Did they react? Amanda paused for a moment. William looks shocked. But what worries me more is this. He seems very angry. Patrick, I think you need to be careful. I smiled bitterly. I see. Thanks for the heads up, Amanda. After hanging up, I sat there with my thoughts in turmoil. I knew this storm would come sooner or later, but I didn't think it would come this fast. Just then, my cell phone rang. It was my father-in-law, George. Patrick, can you come by the golf club? We need to talk. His voice sounded serious. I agree. Maybe it's time to face it all. Upon arriving at the golf club, I saw George waiting for me in the practice area. His expression was grave, and his eyes were filled with complex emotions. Patrick, he spoke, I just got off the phone with Olivia. She told me what happened. I nodded and didn't say anything. George sighed. I don't know what to say. Your mother-in-law and I are in shock. We never thought Olivia would do something like this. Me too, I said bitterly. 12 years, George. 12 whole years. A flash of pain crossed George's face. I apologize to you for Olivia's behavior, Patrick. But are you sure you can't forgive her? For the sake of the children? I shook my head. George, I understand your position. But this was more than a betrayal. It's a 12-year deception. I don't think I can trust her anymore. Just then we heard a commotion from behind us. I turned to see William striding toward us, anger written all over his face. You asshole! He yelled, charging at me. Before I could react, William's fist had swung. I barely dodged the blow, but it was followed by another punch. I couldn't avoid it this time and took a heavy hit. I staggered back, tasting blood in my mouth. Anger and pain erupted within me, and I stopped suppressing my emotions and lunged at William. The two of us were writhing together in the grass, punching and kicking. I heard people screaming all around us, people trying to separate us. But neither of us would let go. In the midst of this chaos, I forgot everything. My sanity, my restraint, even my identity. I just want to vent all the anger and pain that has built up over the days. I don't know how long it took, but I finally felt someone pull me away. I gasped and saw William on the floor with blood all over his face. I wasn't much better myself. I was in pain and my clothes were torn in several places. George and a couple of club workers stood among us, looking horrified. That's when I realized what I had done. Jesus, Patrick, George whispered. Do you realize what this means? I looked at him blankly, still reeling from the intense fight I'd just been in. Just then, I heard sirens. Someone had called the police. What happened next seemed to happen in a dream. The police arrived on the scene, questioned, and then took both William and I to the police station. We each gave our statements and were then placed in separate holding cells. A few hours later, Amanda arrived at the police station. Her expression was terribly serious. Patrick, she spoke, her voice filled with worry. It's not going well. William's injuries are more serious, and he may need surgery. His attorney has already filed charges against you for willful injury. I felt a wave of vertigo. How had it all come to this? Amanda continued, We'll do our best to deal with this. But Patrick, you have to stay calm. Don't do anything else that might make it worse. I nodded woodenly. Just then, an officer approached. Mr. Walker, he said, you have a visitor. I looked up and saw Olivia standing there. Her eyes were red and swollen, obviously having cried. At the sight of me, she sucked in a backwards breath. Oh, Patrick, she whispered, are you okay? I smiled bitterly. What do you think? Olivia stepped closer, hesitated, then said, Patrick, I apologize for everything. I know I've hurt you, hurt our family, but believe me, I never thought things would turn out this way. I looked at her and suddenly felt incredibly tired. Olivia, I said, what's the point of talking about this now? Tears began to stream down her face and, I know you probably hate me right now, but Patrick, I really regret it. I wish we could start over. For the sake of the children. For everything we've ever had. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. When I opened my eyes again, I saw that it was no longer the woman I loved so much that, instead, it's a stranger. Olivia, I say calmly, it's over between us. And not just because of your betrayal. It's more because you made it impossible for me to trust you anymore. Our marriage is dead. Just let it rest in peace. Olivia's shoulders slumped, and she looked like she'd aged 10 years at once. I see, she said softly. So, what about the children? I'll fight for their custody, I said, but I won't stop you from seeing them. They need their mother. Olivia nodded, tears welling up once again. She turned to leave, but stopped at the door. Patrick, she called back, believe it or not, I still love you. I'm sorry for ruining everything. With that, she left. I sat there, feeling an emptiness. I knew that from this moment on, my life would never be the same again. Over the next few days, I got into a legal battle. William's attorney charged me with assault with intent. and my attorney pleaded self-defense. The whole process was long and agonizing, and every day was like a nightmare. In the meantime, divorce proceedings are ongoing. Olivia did not contest the property division, but she insisted on seeking joint custody of the children. One of the things that comforted me during this difficult time was the support of my children. Despite my attempts to keep them out of the storm, Zoe and Luke sensed what was happening. They often come to comfort me and tell me they love me no matter what happens. One night, while I was working in my study, Luke crept in. "Dad," he whispered, "are you okay?" I looked up and saw my son's worried eyes and my heart sank. "I'm fine, Luke." I tried to squeeze out a smile, just a little tired. Luke came over and gave me a hug. "Dad, I know what happened between you and Mom," he said, but I want you to know that Zoe and I are on your side." I hugged Luke tightly and felt tears welling up in my eyes. "Thank you, son," I choked out. "I'm not afraid of anything with you guys by my side." Just then, Zoe walks in as well. She looked at us and then joined in the hug. In that moment, despite the chaos of the world outside, but in this little den, I felt a peace and warmth that I hadn't felt in a long time. I know that no matter how many obstacles lie ahead, with the love and support of my children, I'll get through it. I looked out the window at the night sky and swore, in any case, for the sake of the children, for the sake of our future, face all challenges with courage. This storm will pass, eventually, and we, in turn, will become stronger. The legal proceedings lasted for months and finally ended in the fall. William eventually dropped the charges against me, probably because he realized that continuing to dwell on it was bad for his company's image. And my divorce proceedings ended with Olivia agreeing to give me primary custody of the children. The moment the judge announced the verdict, I felt a wave of relief. In spite of all the pain this storm has caused me, but at least now, I can start rebuilding my life. However, just when I thought it was all going to be over, I got a chilling phone call. It was George. "Patrick." His voice sounded tired. "Olivia, she tried to kill herself." I felt a wave of vertigo and had to hold on to the table to stay on my feet. "What? How? How is she now?" "We found her in time, and now she's in the hospital. Doctors say her life is not in danger for now, but her mental state is very unstable." I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Even though Olivia hurt me, I felt a pang of heartache when I heard the news. "I'll be right over," I said. "Do the kids know?" "Don't know yet," George replied. "We thought we should tell you first." After hanging up, I sat there with my thoughts in turmoil. How do I explain this to my kids? They've been through so much. I don't want to deal them any more blows. Upon arriving at the hospital, I saw Olivia lying in a hospital bed. His face was pale, and his wrists were bandaged. Seeing me come in, she opened her eyes slightly, her eyes filled with pain and shame. "Patrick," she said weakly, "I'm sorry. I feel like I ruined everything. I don't know how to go on." I walked over to the bed and gently took her hand. "Olivia," I whisper, "I know you're in a lot of pain right now, but remember, the children need you. We've all made mistakes, but life goes on. You need to be strong for the kids." Olivia's tears begin to stream down her face. "I don't know if I'll ever be a good mother." "You can do it," I said firmly, "and the kids love you, and they need you. We may no longer be husband and wife, but we will always be the parents of our children." Just then the doctor walked in. He tells us that Olivia needs to be in long-term psychotherapy. Considering her condition, the doctor recommended that she be hospitalized for some time. For the next few months, I had to take care of the kids all by myself. And at the same time, you have to cope with work. It's not easy. But watching Zoe and Luke grow every day makes all the hard work worth it. The kids often ask about Olivia. I try to explain it in a way they can understand. Mom is sick and needs some time to recover. They seem to accept this explanation, although I could see the concern in their eyes. Winter is over and spring is here. Olivia's condition gradually improved, and she began to receive regular psychotherapy. Doctors say she is recovering well, but it will take some time before she is fully recovered. It was at this point that the company gave me an unexpected opportunity. Responsible for a large project in the Mediterranean for 3 months. It was a rare opportunity, but I hesitated. I don't know how to organize the kids. To my surprise, when I mentioned this to George and Rhonda, they offered to be available to take care of the kids while I was gone. Go ahead, Patrick, Rhonda said. You need this chance. The kids will be fine. We'll take care of them. I gratefully accepted their kindness. Before we left, I took the kids to visit Olivia in the hospital. She looked better than last time, with some blood on her face. Daddy's going to work in the Mediterranean for a while, Zoe tells Olivia, but we'll be staying with Grandma and Grandpa. Olivia looks at me, a flicker of mixed emotions in her eyes. That's great, she said, forcing a smile. Patrick, good luck with your work. Kids, listen to your grandparents. We said our goodbyes, and I embarked on my journey to the Mediterranean with mixed feelings. The Mediterranean sun and sea breeze seem to have a healing magic. Here, I feel like I can let go of the past for a while and focus on the present. I was fully engaged in my work while enjoying the food and scenery. One day, I met a lady named Emma on the beach. She is an architect from Canada and is here for a project. We talked about our respective experiences and realized that each had experienced marital failure. Life's like the waves, said Emma, looking out at the distant ocean. Sometimes it slaps you down, but you always learn to get back up. I nodded, feeling her words speak to my heart. Over the next few days, Emma and I would often have dinner together and share our respective stories. She was a few years younger than me, had beautiful blonde hair, and always had a warm smile. I found myself beginning to look forward to seeing her every day. 3 months passed quickly. On the plane ride back, I looked back on this time with gratitude. Not only did this trip allow me to complete an important program that, more than anything else, it gave me renewed hope for life. When I got home, I was pleasantly surprised at how much the kids seemed to have grown as well. Zoe begins to learn to play the piano, while Luke becomes obsessed with soccer. They were excited to show me the progress they had made during this time, and I was so proud of them. Olivia's situation has also improved dramatically. She's been discharged from the hospital, although she still needs regular psychotherapy, but it was ready to start working. She's gotten a job teaching at a community college. Seems to be slowly rebuilding his life. I am sincerely happy to see the change in Olivia, even though we're no longer married. Seeing her find her way back in life, I still feel for her. One night, when the kids were asleep, I was sitting on the swing set in the backyard and looking up at a sky full of stars. I thought of Emma, thinking about the time we spent in the Mediterranean. I pulled out my cell phone and, after a moment's hesitation, I sent her a message. Hi Emma, wonder how you've been. I'm back. The kids are fine. Got time to talk? It didn't take long for Emma to reply. We chatted about our respective lives back home, our jobs, and our children. During the conversation, I felt a sense of relief and pleasure that I hadn't felt in a long time. You know what? Emma said in the message. I've been thinking that maybe we could meet again. I'm going to an architectural design show in your neck of the woods next month. Maybe we could have a cup of coffee sometime? I felt my heart skip a beat when I saw this message. I hesitated, then replied, that would be great. I'm looking forward to seeing you. Putting my phone down, I took a deep breath. I know that life is slowly moving in a new direction. While the wounds of the past may never fully heal, but I've learned how to move on with these experiences. I'm reminded of something Emma said. Life is like waves. Yes, I've been slapped down, but I've gotten back up. And now I'm ready for the next wave in my life. That night, I had a dream. In my dream, I was standing on a beach in the Mediterranean Sea with the sun shining warmly on me. Zoe and Luke frolicked in the water, their laughter crisp and clear. Emma stood beside me, smiling at it all. In the distance, I see Olivia walking on the beach as well. She waved to us with a calm smile on her face. We may not be a family anymore, but we have all found our happiness. I woke up and it was light. The sun shone through the curtains and gilded the room. I took a deep breath and felt the hope and strength welling up in my chest. I know that whatever the future holds, I am ready for it. Because I've learned that the most important thing in life isn't avoiding falls. Instead, learn how to get back up after a fall. And now I have learned that lesson. A new day begins and I look forward to every possibility in life. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have a story to share about your own or someone else's experience, please feel free to contact me. Take care.